Dr. Locascio, you're recognized for 5 minutes.
Thank you. Chairman Weber, Chairwoman Comstock, members, ranking members Lipinski and Vizzi, and members of the committees, thank you for the opportunity to discuss NIST's role in enabling advances in materials that strengthen U.S. innovation and industrial competitiveness. NIST has helped entire industries overcome intractable challenges by measuring materials with ever-increasing precision and characterizing new materials for the very first time. We help American manufacturers be more competitive by enabling development and testing of materials that perform far better than previous generations. Great leaps in our quality of life are linked to great leaps in the performance of materials. For example, prosthetics and medical implants, once limited to ceramic and steel and harvested bone, are now made from titanium and polymers and composites. They are stronger, lighter, and more functional, helping more people return to work and live active lives. NIST has been an essential partner to industry in supporting that traditional approach to materials discovery. For example, we have helped the U.S. semiconductor industry, which generates $166 billion in global sales, overcome measurement and material limits to making the smaller, faster chips that the market demands. But traditional materials discovery requires costly trial and error cycles. In a new paradigm, NIST supports the use of data and models to simulate materials and predict their performance before spending the money to make them. This approach is called materials by design. GE used materials by design to make new alloys for jet engines in 9 years instead of the typical 15 to 20. And the metal in Apple Watches was developed and deployed to market in just 2 years using this approach. Materials by design is such a game changer that it became a national priority in 2011 with the Materials Genome Initiative. The MGI, as it is known, benefits nearly all economic sectors, from the chemical industry to electronics, communications, and biotechnology. The MGI is a partnership among 18 federal agencies, including some in the Departments of Energy and Defense, along with NASA and NIST. NIST supports the MGI with new modeling and experimental capabilities, along with materials data. For example, the Materials Resource Registry is like an online yellow pages for materials by design, enabling in-depth worldwide searches of data collections, computational services, and modeling software. In this registry, we collect and harvest public data from materials science programs in universities, industries, and government to create a valuable national resource. And with access to all this shared data, researchers can more quickly design unique materials for that next great American breakthrough. To help create an ecosystem for MGI, NIST founded the Center for Hierarchical Materials Design, or CHIMAD, a consortium led by Northwestern University, the University of Chicago, and Argonne National Lab. CHIMAD and NIST together are building tools to support the MGI nationally, while advancing technologies that the industry cares about, like 2D electronics and more efficient jet engines. Thanks to the support of Congress, Materials by Design is gaining ground across the entire U.S. materials science enterprise. Why is an agency like NIST doing this work? We see ourselves as industry's national lab, a well-respected, trusted, non-regulatory scientific agency that forms strong partnerships with industry to tackle critical national needs. Other countries are investing in their own MGI-like initiatives. The U.S. faces ever-increasing competition in this space. We are still the ones to beat, but we need continued coordination and support among all the players across many sectors to retain this lead. We greatly appreciate the members of these committees and others in Congress for the support of federal acceleration of the innovations in material science that keep our nation globally competitive and secure and contribute to our quality of life. I will be pleased to answer any questions you may have. Thank you.
Thank you, Doctor. I now recognize Barbara Comstock for 5 minutes.
Okay. And I don't have a Madonna quote. I'm speechless. Dr. Locascio, how does a prize competition like the Head Health Challenge promote the development of new materials? And what did NIST learn from participating in this prize challenge?
So thank you for the opportunity to speak about that. The prize challenge really is just one tool in our toolkit to leverage federal dollars against private sector dollars. And I think it's an extraordinarily effective way to do that. And also to pull in people into an important national problem that may not have been aware of the problem or how to get involved. And so I think the prize challenge that we conducted with Head Health, it's a partnership between NFL and NIST and GE and Under Armour, has been very successful in attracting new people into the problem associated with public safety and in particular protective gear. For instance, we had people competing in the prize challenge who presented new materials that were additively manufactured or prepared in the laboratory that were responsive materials or new types of materials made with new processes that had never thought before about using them and harnessing that activity for protective gear. So I think one advantage is really being able to attract new people to these new national problems. And our role there is really to help conduct an unbiased and fair competition. And we were able to leverage testing equipment that we already had developed for the purpose of testing headgear for warfighters and use that to conduct these tests. And at the same time, push forward our capabilities even further into new realms to test these types of materials.
And how, and maybe some of the others can add to this too, how can we develop more of those partnerships like that? Because I think the synergies there, the relationships really cross over so many different disciplines. It's really exciting. You get a lot of different partners who have a lot of different interests in this. So how can we build on that model and find some other areas? And what are some other examples that we might pursue in this area?
So I'll perhaps start and let others chime in, but we've learned a lot from NASA, who is conducting prize challenges, about how to leverage the external community and attract them into these types of prizes. I think this was the first one that NIST had conducted and the first one the Department of Commerce had conducted, and we've gotten so much out of it that we currently have several others in the pipeline to current prize challenges that are being awarded soon.
In the 30 seconds remaining to me, Dr. Locascio, how do you define success when you're looking at grant applications? What makes you define a great grant?
So we go through a peer review process for all of our grants. It's a very well-structured process, and it's pretty common across all
There's
of
no hook right now in your mind in a low monetary and budget kind of finance. What do you do? What are you looking for?
Oh, how are we pursuing grants? Are we going to continue to pursue grants?
Our time expired, but I've already tested the chairman's patience. So
No, that's right. Go ahead. I'm interested in her answer.
So we will continue to put out grants to universities. We have had, obviously, we've had very hard decisions to make as well. With regard to the budget, but one of the things that we've thought about is really protecting the future. And protecting the future means also protecting our abilities to do the greatest advances in measurement science that you can possibly do. And that honestly requires the universities. We have to collaborate with the smartest minds in the United States and pair them with the smartest minds in the federal government, and we do that to great benefit. So we'll continue to
thank you very much. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
You betcha.
Dr. Locascio, I know you've recently blogged about diversity in science and your son's pride in you being a scientist. And I was just with my big data son early this morning and thought about the importance of modeling that. And Dr. Higgs, you're noted for your efforts as well. Quickly for both of you, what can we do? What can the U.S. Congress do that would help ensure we are actually opening up that pipeline for each and every young person in this country to understand these are exciting fields, and we need their talent, we need their life experience, we need their input and their energy. Thanks.
Thank you for the opportunity to speak about this. I'm so passionate about it as well, so I appreciate that. Yeah, so there are several things that you talked about. First, getting people into the workforce is very difficult, and as you said, attracting females into the STEM research fields is very difficult. So given the fact that there could be changes in the way that we're recruiting and attracting people at this particular time in the budget, I think it makes that even more difficult. But the second part is retaining them, and then the third part is elevating them to a stature of leadership. And so that's something that I have really thought a lot about. How do we make sure that no matter what you look like or where you come from, what your cultural background is, we need you at the table in order to get the best people and the best ideas out there and supported for the sake of science in the United States. And so, mentoring, guiding people, trying to make sure that we have adequate salaries to recruit them and retain them, they're all important facets of the equation. But then just making sure that we elevate them and promote them fairly, equally, and then showcase their talent in front of people so that they can be seen, I think is critical.
I want to thank the witnesses for their valuable testimony and the members for their questions today. The record will remain open for 2 weeks for additional comments and written questions from the members. I do want to end by saying that this committee and the full Science Committee obviously is committed to research. Chairman Smith has been a staunch advocate of it, both sides of the aisle. And so we look at this budget and we say that is simply a submitted budget, but I'm encouraged that I think we're going to continue to be able to help with the research as much as absolutely possible. We are trying to do a lot of things, spinning a lot of plates. If y'all could quickly come up with the material to make those plates lighter, it would make our job easier. So I want to say thank you for being here today again. We could have gone on for a long time. It's very, very interesting. We appreciate what you guys do. This hearing is adjourned.